Greetings and salutations. You're listening to From a Certain Point Askew, the only Star Wars podcast that stream of consciousness rivals the Acolyte's patchy, convoluted storytelling abilities. We promise to keep it 60% here on the show, though. Jason Anchorage, your Jedi guy, broadcasting live from inside Wookieepedia Studios. That's me on the screen. Making me not alone is Darth Mathias. If he's done burping, go ahead, join in, give us a sound effect.
You don't need to let everybody know it's burping. Maybe I was just clearing my throat. Did you ever think of that?
Yeah, you were just, okay. No, I did not.
Hi, Jay. Before we get started, I just wanted to start by saying, Wookieepedia, are we okay? Because
I mean, we are.
We didn't make any death threats, and they unfollowed us, but it looks like it was like they were going scorched earth on their follows because they dropped like 3,000 people they were following.
Did you see their posting where they're like, well, since we've taken over, key word there, we decided that they weren't in like tandem with some of the companies and people that they wanted to be with, so they just decided. But I'm like looking at some of the people they dropped, and like some people were just like legit Star Wars accounts that love Star Wars and talk Star Wars, and they just burned them. It's
a weird move because they're making it sound like, oh, we're just going to get in the practice of only following certain things and not following all these individuals. And it's like, well, right. I don't know if you know what a wiki is, but it's a community-driven endeavor.
Yeah.
So if you're going to just dump all these people that were, following you and contributing to your stuff, that's kind of, shitting on them. Apparently it all goes back to, I read a little bit of the thread on it. We had Jordan on the show a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago,
right.
Whatever that was. The Supreme Emperor, I think is what he was called. He was like the main admin. He ran the Twitter account. And apparently they like forced him out of a Star Wars wiki.
While he was like at work, they're like, hey, you around? He's like, I'll be around in a little bit. And then they like cleared him out of everything. And when he was around and available, he's like, what the hell?
What the fuck? I am so confused. This community, man, this stuff happens over and over. And especially lately, it's been a pretty bad like month or two. It just makes me think maybe we should just post the episode and not talk to anybody.
Or maybe we'll just record these and not post them anymore. It's just for us. It's safer that way.
For us.
Like
yeah.
I made the joke the other day that it was like an infiltration into the Wookiee poo, and it's Order 66 is happening for real. Like they're killing all their Jedis.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I don't get it. Of course we enjoy all the interaction we get, and we love that everybody, the people who listen to our show, but some of that shit we've been seeing lately is just fucking bananas. I just can't believe it. I just wanted to say, Jordan, hang in there. Right. Feel bad for you because it sounds like you got royally fucked, and I know that this site was a big part of what you enjoyed doing with Star Wars, so I feel bad for the guy.
And the fact that, like, these people have real jobs, like, they're not making any money off Wookieepedia, right? So this guy's at work doing his thing, and he's being ostracized for it. Like, oh, how dare you be at work? No. And who are these new people taking over? Like, does anybody know who they are?
I don't know.
Like, who voted this emperor into, like...
They stormed the capital of Wookieepedia. I don't know. I unfollowed them. I mean, it's hard to not.
Oh, you did?
Take on their. I did because fuck them anyway. But it's hard not to go to their site because if you ever look anything up, it goes to their goddamn site. So it's like whatever. I'll use their resources because that was something that was built by the community anyway.
Right, but why be a part of their socials? Right.
Yeah, what do I need? What do I need from them anyway? The reason I followed them really was because Jordan was really engaging with everybody in the community. If they're not going to do that and they're just going to post random bullshit, I don't give a fuck, Yeah,
we're not going to their cookout.
We're out.
Yeah. So we're still going to go to the Lucasfilm 4th of July, the annual cookout. We're going to go to that.
Yeah, of course. Right. Of course. We'll still go to that.
As soon as we're invited.
If you would like to find our show, from a certain point askew.com is our website. Twitter at FACPApod. I can't talk. FACPApod at gmail.com is our email. And if you would like to leave a voicemail, haven't had one in a while, would like to have one.
Oh, yeah.
678-FACPA77. That's 322-7277. And something I always forget to ask for is if you like our show, please tell somebody about it or go out and write a review for us because it's very helpful for us.
Right. Or just unfollow us.
You could do that too. And then start a war. Let's go.
All right. Ooh, he's got the Dukes up. You guys can't see that, but I can see it. I can see him on video.
He's ready for war. Doing a double jerk off.
Double Dutch rudder. Yeah, I was just gonna. It's funny that you're doing the same thing because I was just thinking like I want to go full J and be like, you motherfuckers, like just talk shit to. I am the Clit Commander. Okay, on the show today we've got a question of the week. Yord and Mog used to be bros. We're going to get into that. In the news, we've got two things. Shawn Levy Star Wars film has a writer, and Mando Grogu filming seemingly underway. We'll move on to the Acolyte Episode 7, Choice. You know what? I was thinking those titles that I gave you last week must have been made up on Twitter because this was not a double named episode.
It's possible that Doom is still in play for Episode 8,
Right.
but yes, it was whatever it was, Honesty or something.
Honesty and something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then we got 3 emails in the Maul Bag, baby. Looking forward to hearing those. I love it when there's more than one, in case your longtime listeners don't know that.
By the way, somebody pointed out, I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was Star Wars Mag or somebody. I can't remember. You know, they had a lot of these 2 double episode namings. You know, the first 2 were that way. The third one was Destiny, just a solo. And this one was Choice. So right. Destiny or Choice. So those 2 go together. So.
And then 4 and 5 were Night and Day. So
Night and Day. Right. So everything it's all aligned, even though a lot of people think that this is totally unplanned and bad writing all the way. Some of the stuff is planned.
A little bit. 25%.
Right. Question of the week. Pretty sure Yord and Mog were tight as younglings, but their friendship fell apart. How did it happen?
I don't know. I want to hear.
Got some good answers. Ty responded. Ty, formerly of 213 Pod.
Ty.
Vernestra's energy is so weird. She's clearly up to something. I'd say that Yord was her favorite until he got tired of being ordered around, and she turned to the more amenable Mog to attend to whatever her needs might be. The needs are sexual.
Well, I don't know if Yord would get tired being ordered around. Boy, he's ready to listen. When he's like, get the citizen to the ship, he was like, yes, master. And he's running through the woods with Osha.
Yeah, he totally does that. But maybe Vernestra wanted the sexual favors, and Yord was like, not down for that.
Like his tongue was tired?
It could have been. Jesus.
It doesn't move in the wind as well as her whip does.
I am Anakin's father says Yord joined the Jedi sports team and started giving Mog atomic wedgies to fit in with the cool Jedi. Brown Leader, Hyperspace Hero says Yord was doing a Nubs action figure giveaway on his Holocast. We know where this is going. Yord's Pectacular Holocast. Mog won by naming the most Ortolan musicians and was thrilled to add to his collection. Yord kept promising to send the action figures, but never did. Mm-hmm. Yes, I have not sent your fucking winnings from last time, all right? I'll get them out there.
It sounds like a 7 Days a Geek issue.
Oh, fuck, man. It's real easy to do the giveaway and award the giveaway stuff. It's just hard to mail the stuff out, you know?
Yeah, it's sitting in the corner somewhere, and like 3 months later, you look at it, you're like, shit, I got to send that out. And then it's 3 months later again, and you're like, shit, I got to send that out. Yeah.
I know. It's hard to do. I have the figures in boxes ready to go. I just have not like put the labels on them and taken them. So
here's what I'm going to ask that you do.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to send them out today, but I am asking you to, if you're like in a junk drawer or something in the next day or two and you come across a candy cane, tape it to the box and then just forget it until it'll be there by Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
It's the holiday special.
Speaking of Ty from earlier, I think it took us a year to get him his lightsaber.
But that was one of the ones that Dave was building, right?
That's correct. Dave is partly responsible for that.
Yeah. It's all, no, fully.
This is all me.
Yeah.
Okay. One. So yes, I will get your Brown Leader and Max Rebo. I will get your stuff out. Sorry. Speaking of Max Rebo, this one is obvious. Mog is a replaced. Wait, is that? Oh, Mog replaced all of Yord's spray starch with chromium spray paint. When Yord tried to give his robes a refresh, he ended up looking like a silver protocol droid. I really wish these two had the history.
Yord turned into one of those guys in the Mad Max movies. Witness me!
Oh, yeah.
Spraying his face. Yeah.
Again, another great reference.
Come on. Mad Max is new.
Okay, sorry, that was the newer one. Yes, I was thinking of the older. Yes, but you're right.
Okay, all right.
Adelphi Rangers, Yord was a Padawan for a long time, so when the new younglings were growing into Padawans, they would tease Yord for being a defective Jedi. I can't read. Mog was the worst of the lot. He teased Yord incessantly. He was a real pain in the neck. Aww.
I don't see Mog teasing Yord. I don't see him
I was
having
thinking
the
it was the
balls
other
for
way,
it.
for sure. Yeah, I thought it was the other.
Yeah.
But he's taking it this way, and he just wanted to get that pain in the neck joke in there.
Yeah, to go like a new reference, like to go back up a little bit, I see Yord being more of like the frat boy, the cool boy, and Mog being like Revenge of the Nerds, like one of those guys.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Mid-'80s now. We're in the mid-'80s. Good.
Yep. That's what I see.
Oh, that's great. News, Shawn Levy. We talked about, we've talked about all these various potential Star Wars projects that are out there. One of them is his, and he did Deadpool, right?
The new one, Deadpool Wolverine.
The new one, yes. So he's doing press for that, and he said the following. I'm happy that's one secret I don't have to keep keeping. Jonathan Tropper is writing my Star Wars film. We did the Adam Project together, and we have an idea that is really exciting to us and exciting to Kathleen Kennedy and Dave Filoni. One never knows if development reaches the starting gate, but my hope is that it will. You're saying you've pitched this project and you have a writer, but you don't know if it's going to make it all the way to production?
Well, to be fair, there's a lot of Star Wars projects that we've discussed that have withered away in the last few years.
He has read the room.
He's been around Hollywood long enough to know that that's sort of the name of the game. It just seems to be more of the Star Wars stuff's in the limelight because it's so self-contained, But directors are usually attached to multiple projects at varying levels because something's going to fall apart and they just move to the next one. So it's kind of a political answer, but also this guy is, first of all, I wouldn't be surprised to see him direct one of the Avengers movies coming up real quick. They're going to be announcing a director soon, unless he's like, I want my Star Wars movie to be next. So, but if he's got a writer going on, that seems to be a pretty slow process, and Marvel moves bam, bam. They're pretty quick. So, they seem to be very happy with him so far.
Well, and considering the queue of movies they've talked about doing for Star Wars, I mean, where does this one even fit in? Unless he's jumping in front of Mangold or something like that, he's going to be pushed out to like later in this decade,
Or if it's a sequel to the Rey movie that's not supposed to have a sequel, it's a self-contained movie. Bullshit.
That one, yeah.
Did you see in the news that she said she still hasn't read the script?
Yes, I saw that, and then there was like a whole comment about but I think it's going to start I think production's going to start on it next year. It's all very vague. I mean, I think they're just playing coy. I don't think they're going to tell us anything until shit actually comes out. Yeah,
she's going to have shot the movie and be like, no, I never read the script.
Right, exactly. The next one in the queue, presumably, is the Mando Grogu film from Favs. And that has been rumored to be starting filming this summer. And it looks like it's maybe not underway yet, but there were some pictures shared online of some set builds that are going on. One of them is a gun turret that looks like the one that the Rebels had on Hoth, which is interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks just like it. So that was kind of cool looking. I think the report I read, it might have been Best and Bolton, was saying like last time that they saw these sets being designed, within a month they were shooting. So it would lead you to believe that the shooting is imminent on this film. And fucking let's go, because I'm a little nervous we're not going to make that May 26th timeline if things don't start pretty soon, And we need some goddamn Star Wars in the theater.
This one seems to be the one that's been moving along pretty regularly, though.
I think so. It's got all the ducks in a row, So I think it's easier to get that done. That's it for news. All right. Let's talk about the Acolyte. Before we get started, I just want to say, Leslie Headland, I'm just a Star Wars fan. Your world frightens and confuses me. There's a lot going on here and a lot of answers that weren't given. I mean, this is speculation dreamland because there's so many different fucking things you could take from what just happened. We thought we were going to get this like real definitive, okay, this is the other side of the story perspective. And we got some of it, but then still there's some that's like, well, but that doesn't, you know what I mean? It still left everything pretty wide open in my opinion. Yeah.
I want to go back to, what do you mean about your world frightens me?
Oh, I just wanted to do a caveman lawyer quote from Saturday Night Live.
All right.
I'm just a caveman. Your world frightens and confuses me. But this also, I do have to say, this is maybe the best episode of Three's Company I've seen in decades.
Oh,
it's just an endless series of misunderstandings.
Oh, yes.
That's all it is.
Yes, fair enough. Now, okay, before we get into the meat and potatoes of it, what were your feelings watching it the first time?
Got done and was like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah, I kind of walked away and thought, I don't know how I felt about that. Watched it again. It also helps sometimes when I read a couple people's reviews of it, because then I'm like, oh, right, I didn't think about that necessarily. Okay. So that kind of helps. After watching it a second time, I was like, okay, like I get what they're doing here. It's just, again, we're in this position where we have one episode left. I know this is a series that she had visions for going beyond season one, but she did say she wanted to like have an encapsulated story for season one. So it's like, how much can you really wrap up here? Considering that the next episode is just going to be the same length as this one was. Right. I don't know. I was kind of hoping we were going to get more than what we got, but we didn't.
Well, we got answers, I think, to a certain point, but there's definitely more going on that we're still not seeing. But I think the problem with this is for people who aren't like die-hard Star Wars fans who can process this, look like into like all of the information, even, you know, if you've got more than 60%, good for you, fucker. But you're sitting there and you really got to put a lot into this to get something out of it, I think. And I think the problem is for like a normal viewer watching this, they don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, true.
And coming out of my first viewing, I felt the same way. I was like, well, what are they doing here? Because this was like a lot of confusion, a lot of answers that were given vaguely. And then watching it again, after like processing for a little bit and trying to figure out how I felt about it or what I wanted to pull out of it and watching it again, I got a lot more out of it, but that's a lot of fucking like brain homework, right? Like you're doing a lot of fucking stimulation here just to fucking get something out of it where I don't think a lot of people want to do, especially people who are struggling to like the series in the first place.
Right. Yeah. I saw somebody write that it's requiring the audience to do a lot of heavy lifting. And I think that's true. And, you know, also kind of on board with, what's like, remember when Ro was talking about us, we talked to him about Ahsoka, and there was a lot of thought about like, how much do you need to know coming into this?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff from Rebels that if you followed Rebels and were a fan, then it would make a lot more sense to you. This one kind of feels a little bit like that in the sense that there's a ton of lore. I mean, the High Republic stuff, there's little nuggets in there for you.
Right.
And it's okay if you're throwing little nuggets in that the deep fans are going to get, but maybe not the casual fan is, as long as it's not at the detriment of the storytelling. And I'm not shitting on the storytelling. I'm just saying that, like you said, that there are moments where I'm just like, boy, this is a little tricky to follow for somebody who doesn't at least have some history here.
And the funny thing is even coming into this show, one of the things we talked about was that one of our things was I want to hire writers that don't know Star Wars. So we can get a story told from that point of view, or, you know, so it's not so deep into the woods. But that doesn't seem to be what has happened here, or maybe that is, and that's some of the problem. It's really hard to discuss the show because like I am enjoying it, but there is a lot I have to do after I watch the episode. And then after you've like, okay, I see this means this, or this could link to this, then you're appreciating it. But like, if you're not like that Star Wars fan putting that much work into it, I can see why someone's not.
Right. I think, and something that I think we'll probably talk about, we're going to do our finale episode review next week. And then we'll probably take a week off to just kind of pull some stuff together for kind of a look back on the series. And I think that's the appropriate time to talk about like, okay, should this have been episodic, or should they have dumped this all in one big drop? Because without being able to see the entire story, it's leaving people frustrated at times. But maybe when we get this finale and you look at it as a whole, you'll be like, well, okay, that story was cohesive. It made sense. You know, all the things kind of came into play in the end that we're building during the season. But to sit there for 7 weeks or whatever and try to like figure out exactly what's going on, it's a little confusing, and not in like a lost confusing way, like in a just like a head scratching way. I don't know. It was, I like you said, I'm still enjoying the show. There's a lot of pieces about it I really like, but it's certainly not my favorite show they've ever done. Let's just say that.
Right. And I think out of the 7 episodes, to me, even though this was the one that was supposed to like link everything together, and I think it did to a certain extent, but there was still like, there's some shit missing here. I think it's the weakest episode.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
I was interested to hear what you were going to say about that, because I've heard mixed feelings on that. I've heard people say like, why wasn't this just connected with episode 3? They could have just done this as one episode, which would have been kind of tricky, like because you're literally telling a totally different perspective. So how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
It was the first episode that I think I watched and got done with, and I was just kind of like a little uneasy about what I just watched. The other ones, I mean, even episode 3, I thought, well, shit, they just gave us a bunch of shit we've never seen before. That was kind of cool. You know, the witches were interesting. I thought Mother Anasea was great. You know, the actress is great. But this one, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, okay. Like, let's just see what they do in the finale. That's kind of how I ended up feeling in the end. I was going to ask you, and we can get into the blow by blow here in a second, but the, you know, that first flashback episode in episode 3 was obviously from Osha's perspective. Yeah. Is this meant to be from Soul's perspective? Is it meant to be, because there's some pieces there that he wouldn't have been privy to.
I think it's May and Soul.
Okay, a combination?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, which then makes you think, okay, we'll get to this in speculation, I guess, but is Osha privy to this stuff because of her connection?
I don't think, well,
Is she gonna know this stuff sort of somehow because she's in the deprivation tank,
right?
and she's connecting to her and is able to get some of this information from her. I don't know, but you're right because there's some stuff there that happens with May where Soul would have never known, you know, like the stuff with Coral and all that kind of thing. So
I think this episode would have worked better if they would have had Soul like in the bedroom with Fred Savage. And he's reading the story, you know, filling in the blanks.
You should sleep. You should get some sleep. I'm going to go. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Another great reference.
You're
Princess
welcome.
Bride. Shit. 89, 88?
Yeah.
Shit. No, it's so great. You can see where our minds are. Okay, well, let's jump into it. So, yeah, we go back to Brendok 16 years ago again. We see kind of what the Jedi are up to before they discover the twins. They're out there searching for precious metals, I guess.
Yeah. Were you as bored as Tobin?
I mean, what are we doing here? The fact that they showed two of them with the metal detectors, it's just like, what are you?
I never thought I'd see
there?
a Wookiee fucking scanning the beach for bottle caps, but here we are.
Yeah, I didn't. That was very confusing. I was like, that's the choice you made. Okay. Yeah, Torben does not look happy. I mean, he looks about as happy as a kid pulling weeds when like his friends are at the arcade. He's just like, can we be done?
Yeah, yeah. And Dad's like, well, I told you we're going to work in the yard all day.
I'm not even getting allowance for this.
Right.
Oh, and then Torben's, he's getting real tired of Kilnaka's cooking, doesn't like what does he say? The something legs, the newt legs. It's not newt, it's something like that. And then we learn they've been there for 7 weeks.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot.
I didn't realize they'd been there that long.
That's a long camping trip.
Didn't see that fortress in 7 weeks, huh? I mean, she did say later, we haven't investigated the Northlands or something like that, but still, that was kind of funny. So then Indara drops this nugget on us, basically saying that Brendok was a victim of the carnage of the hyperspace disaster that you and I read about in The Light of the Jedi that we still haven't both finished.
Right.
What's that thing called? The Legacy Run.
Yeah.
So apparently that wiped out all life on this planet, but somehow...
Well, several planets, right?
Several planets, yes, but this is one of them. Somehow life returned, which is why they're there, because they're thinking there is some sort of vergence in the Force there that has caused life to return.
But do you get the way it was worded was like they were told, and I don't know if she means like the Jedi as a whole were told, or like their group was told that there was no life on that planet for a while and something has returned, or was it like one of those things where like, we're just going to say that whole area was kind of wiped out, like another lie.
Oh, it could be. I was taking it as we know this planet was affected and the whole thing was wiped out.
Clearly, you were seeing like remnants of the ship crashed all over the place. There's this, where they're camping, there's that one big-ass fucking ring.
Oh, yeah, true. I didn't think about that.
And then when Soul goes off on his little speeder and he's running through the woods, there's another one of those. And to me, I was thinking that that's like parts of the ship that have crashed all over the place.
I didn't think about that.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good take. I didn't even think about that. That makes sense. But yes, Soul's like, hey, this is, kind of like this vergence is a big deal. It's a concentration of Force energy centered around a location. And he says it can create life, and that's something that should be studied. Now, it gets you into this whole thought about, okay, the vergence thing. Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon said there was a vergence around Anakin, essentially. Some people say that the cave on Dagobah is a vergence. But and when you think about the vergence here, are you thinking it's meant to be that gaping hole that they're chanting around, or is it like the tree, the Bunta tree, or is it? I was trying to think if there was something else. It seems like it would be that hole because that's what they seem to center around.
Right.
Soul heads out alone because she says to go check out the Northlands. He heads out on a speeder, and he comes across the Bunta tree. We see that other angle. Somebody on Twitter was saying that they're like, this has got a Back to the Future 2 vibes because it's
we're seeing the same thing from a different angle. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Saul follows them back to the fortress. He scales the walls and watches this little demonstration with Mother Anasea teaching them about the thread. So it was him that made the sound that Coral heard. We were thinking that was somebody like Chimera or some sort of Sith or something like that, but it was him. He also spots some witches chanting around the big gaping hole where they're going to do the ascension later that night. So he reports back to Indara.
How did he know they were going to do it that night?
I don't know that he knew that, but he said it like he knew something was coming.
Right.
I've seen this before. I know a ceremony. I know a cult ceremony when I've seen one.
Usually this is about the time where they're about 3 hours for doing one.
Right. This is the dry run.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes back to Indara. He says they don't treat the girls like children. How so, Saul? You mean like They do combat training with little children? Is that something like that? What are you talking about?
And it's not like he's not going to do the same thing if it was his Padawan. So it was a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was kind of funny. He fears for their safety, he says, because it looks like they're preparing for this ritual, and he convinces Indara to come with him to check it out. This is one angle of the story, but this whole episode kind of seems to shine a brighter light on Indara. You know, before we were kind of thinking like maybe she was, I don't know, did some shady shit as a Jedi, which in the end, I guess she does kind of concoct a lie, but she's doing it to cover everybody else. But she's really trying to like play by the book here. Let's talk to the council. Let's listen to the rules. Let's not bug these fucking people is what she's trying to do. And meanwhile, Soul just can't, I almost said keep it in his pants, which is a bad thing to say about when he's talking about these two twins, but you know what I mean?
Well, he's clearly not in control of all of his emotions yet, and I think they're trying to paint that picture, and they do. But I think one of the confusing parts of this episode and some of the story is that they don't explain why he is so worried about the girls. Like,
no, it's like all of a sudden
we get it, you are, but it's like there's something that's not making sense, and I think that's one of the things as the writers they need to like explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's almost like did you lose somebody as a youngster? It's like what is drawing you so much to her? Is it literally just this feeling you have? It doesn't. I don't know. It's a big jump. It seems like. So they arrive at the fortress, and Indara's like, "I'm going to go up alone," and they're like, "No, you're not." And she tells them, "Okay, stay frosty." And Kilnaka slices the elevator controls, and they make their way up. So that was the reference the witches say to they slice the platform.
Yep.
We see basically the same scene from episode 3. They walk in, they're talking to the witches, same exact dialogue. But this is where we see Torben and what he experienced. All of a sudden, Mother Odyssea is just, she's like, I will fuck with the mind of the weakest link.
Yeah. This is a cool like visual representation of that whole thing, though. Like you're actually seeing like them using the force to get into their head.
Right. And I mean, this is impressive because she's doing this all while having a full on other conversation.
Right.
But I do like the perspective, the fact that it's like they're looking at the camera. Everything's kind of in your face. I thought that was kind of a cool angle, the way they did that. And yeah, she's basically saying like, hey, what do you want? You just want to go home. I get it. What if I told you I could help you go home? Just totally getting into him because she clearly can sense what he's feeling.
There was an extended scene, but they had to cut it out because it was a little horny.
Well, it was kind of getting on that verge of that. I mean, yeah, she was touching.
She's like,
him.
Just say it, and he's like, grab it.
Oh fuck. And so, yeah, she's like, just admit that you want to go home to Coruscant. And he's like, I want to go home to Coruscant. And she goes, okay, kneel. And that's when his eyes go black and he drops. And we see that same exact scene. Then we're kind of back on the ship later. And Sol's telling Indara that he, feels this connection with Osha. And he thinks that she should be his Padawan. And Indara's just like rolling her eyes like, come on, dude, you just met her. Right. And she thinks that he's using this, like the fact that he said, let's test the girls. She's like, that's brilliant. That buys me time. And he's like, no, I really think we should test them. But she's like, we need to get advice from the council. And she says at that point, the Coven is not going to let them leave. And he's just not hearing it.
Well, I mean, he was right because even though he, shanks Mama, he does find out she was going to let her go.
Yeah, a little too late.
Right. Yeah.
But he does find that out. And I understand why he misunderstands that move.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of sways Indara because he tells her, hey, she didn't have that mark that May has. So Indara's like, okay, yeah, maybe she's being forced into this and she doesn't want to do it. Sol says something along the lines of like, isn't that the job of the Jedi to abduct children? Excuse me, to protect children?
No, I heard it right. Yeah.
And she at one point says, don't confuse what Osha wants with what you want. I mean, so she's giving it to him.
I feel like there's almost like some of this dialogue and then the one scene I was texting you about earlier, like there's almost something else at play. And maybe I'm looking into that to get some type of answer, but he does seem to be very like not in control of himself, or he's not able to explain himself very well. He just is almost just emotional.
Well, he just learned English. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
the actor did. The actor
Fair
did.
enough. Fair enough.
No, you're right though. It just seems like something's amiss there. It's like I said, it's a kind of a big jump for him to all of a sudden just be totally drawn. I mean, I guess some people I've seen made the argument that like, hey, Qui-Gon was like pretty fucking in on Anakin pretty quick.
Yeah.
So is it kind of similar to that? And that's fair. So I don't know. So fast forward to the next day, and they show us May actually getting the testing this time.
Yeah.
So we see that perspective. And clearly she's failing on purpose, as we know. And when Indara asks her about the ceremony, she says, "Oh, that's Ascension." Did you notice how she described it?
Yeah, she described it differently than was described before. So I'm not sure if she got her words wrong or if we heard it wrong the first time. Because when you see Mama go full ghost and start sucking the energy from her daughter, I kind of tend to believe that they were going to sacrifice the kids.
There's an argument to be made there for sure.
Yeah.
Because the way she describes it, she keeps talking about, what Mama said. Mama says alligators are ornery because they have all those teeth and no toothbrush. No, I'm just kidding. She says everyone
There's gators
must
in the swamp holes.
Everyone must be sacrificed to fulfill their destiny. That is a red flag line for the Jedi. They're like,
and we kind of see that,
say?
right? Like, we don't know. I find it hard to believe, moving quickly forward real quick, is Indara, when she gets into Kalnaka's head and like pulls him back from the brink of disaster, they all fall, whether they die or whatever. But if there's something else involved, then they were all sacrificed.
Yeah, that's true.
And the only one alive is Coral. Coral!
Yeah, as far as we know. Yeah, Coral is the only one who made it. Well, the quote, by the way, Anasea said, I went back and looked at it. She said in a third episode, she said, Ascension is about walking through fear, about sacrificing part of yourself, the power of many over the power of one. So you can see how that would get misconstrued by a child, or like you said, maybe she heard it the way she heard it and the original way was not correct and Osha heard it wrong. I don't know. But yeah, Jedi are like, oh shit, they're going to sacrifice these kids. And so, and this is why they only have 2 kids, because they just, every time they get kids, they sacrifice them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. She's like 50 witches and 2 kids. Why? She puts in a request with the council, Indara, and they say, oh, hell no.
Ooh,
what happened?
Just hit me. Okay, if there's a third story, right, and there's someone else involved, whether it's Chimera or someone else, if they're doing the Ascension, they're sacrificing the kids. The idea to sacrifice the dyad, right, gives more strength to the Sith. Let's pretend there's another one involved. So maybe they were actually sacrificing themselves or whatever for that person, and maybe Anasaya does decide to let her daughter go because at least one of them will survive. Or she'll get rid of one of them so that way they can't take her children, right? Because you got to have both together to do that.
So you're saying the witches are playing into the whole Sith plot line, like they're doing whatever they're being asked to do, but she's thinking, oh, this is a way to get one of them out because I am a mother,
right? Okay.
There's something coming with the Sith. There's something coming with Chimera. We still haven't figured out what the fuck Chimera's attachment is to these people. There's got to be something there. So
and there's still more to this fire going on.
Yes, there is, because it's a little too convenient. Then let's see what happens. Oh, yeah, so she puts in this request to the council. They say, leave the twins there. So again, the council is saying the right thing. Leave the kids there. Don't take the kids. She says, do not alter this girl's destiny because you formed an emotional attachment to her, which is like saying, you've broken one of the Jedi rules. He was like, hey.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's not what happened. You kind of miss Kind of seems like it is. So then Torben gets the blood test results back, and the M count is very high.
She has AIDS.
Oh, God. And they've got a very unusual... They said it's very unusual because they appear to have the exact same symbionts, which leads Soul to wonder if they were artificially created. Because how could they have the exact same ones? Not similar, but the exact same.
Right.
And so then, and he says, only a vergence would be strong enough to split one consciousness into 2 bodies. This is getting real interesting.
Right.
I just don't know how this is all supposed to work. Like, I've seen Hedlund talk about it and say, this isn't exactly the Anakin situation. This is different. He would have been more powerful because this is a totally, they're created in a different way and there's 2 of them and blah, blah, blah. But I still, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I don't know how it was how they did this or what happened, but in order for Palps to tell Anakin the story of Plagueis and the fact that it's possible to make life, this story or a story like this has to happen, right?
Okay.
Because this is the story that allows Plagueis to know about it and want to do it himself, and it's the same thing that puts Palps into play and wanting to do this for himself for fucking 90 years.
Right. So this is like experiment number 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
in the process of getting to what they eventually do with Anakin and stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Torben, he sees this as an opportunity and just fucks off right away.
Yeah.
Like, this is our chance. We can prove everything and we can get the hell home.
I'll be home by Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. He is desperate to get back to his girlfriend on Coruscant.
Yeah, he is. Right.
I mean, he's probably thinking Yord stole her already while he was been gone for 7 weeks. So now we get some bits we haven't seen before inside the fortress. First of all, Coral turns into a real asshole.
God, does she?
And is physically forcing May to go stop her sister from leaving. She's just riling her up, but she goes, "Get mad."
Yeah, like what's the point behind this? What do you think?
I just assume she's like, the only way the only way we're gonna prevent your sister from leaving is for you to do something, because I can't, because Anastasia will stop me, and Anastasia's not gonna do shit. So the only way this works is if she's like, the only chance we have of keeping her is you doing it, because nobody else is gonna be able to keep her here.
Right. Well, May doesn't go to just stop her. She goes and almost kills her. So
right.
She's not defeating the purpose of like keep her here.
By any means necessary, right?
Yeah.
I kept her here. She's dead.
You didn't say she had to be alive. You just said keep her here.
Yeah,
she's here.
You did not specify.
Right.
You said I could bring her in warm or bring her in cold, right? The council meet with Anastasia, and they're like, dude, do not let Osha go. Are you out of your fucking mind? And even though she's a mother, she's their leader, they say. And that's when she drops the bomb. Right now I choose mother. Bum, bum, bum.
Right.
That's a t-shirt right there. And then May goes crazy on the elevator controls, so nobody can get in or out. Just fucking bust that shit up.
Yeah, and I love how all the adults just watch this kid have a temper tantrum against the computer, and then she just like drops the crowbar and walks toward him, and they're all like, "Okay, you're not grounded."
There should be some, from a certain point of view, stories about the witches in there, and just like their experience the day to day. These fucking kids.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Some of the problem with this episode is the direction. It seems like there's a lot of people in these scenes, and they're doing nothing but fucking staring at what's happening, like they're watching a play.
Right. That's true. So then what happens? She says, May goes nuts at the controls. She tells Osha she can't leave, and we see her burning the book. But clearly it looks like it's an accident. Like she drops it and is like, oh shit, I got to go get mom to help me put this fire out.
Did you watch that or think about it after I had texted you? Because I was watching it today again, and the way her eyes zone out at the two little flames on top of that freaking fire lantern, she almost seems like she's obviously she's not being possessed the same way as the way the mothers can, because the dark eyes and everything, but she doesn't seem like she's all there. Like she's not in control. Because after she throws the thing down, she kind of comes to, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, that's another thing that leads me to believe we've not seen the whole story yet.
Well, and if that's May's perspective, she wouldn't necessarily know her eyes are blacking over, but maybe Osha sees it that way, because Osha in her memories saw her with the black eyes. Remember when she said, "I will kill everyone. I will kill them all"?
Oh, see, okay, see, that makes sense.
So I was just thinking maybe that's her memory. Osha has this memory of her with her eyes turning black. So maybe she was possessed. Maybe it was Coral.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense.
We're onto something.
Nobody's thought of this. So then Sol and Torben scale the fortress. Indara drops off Kelnaka. And she is like, again, desperately trying to stop Torben from fucking this up. She's just like, we cannot do this. Is going to cause a huge conflict. We got to get him out of there. Like, So she sends in Kelnaka. Sol and Torben confront the witches, and he asks how the twins were created. And Coral gives this look to Anastasia like, gulp.
Yeah. She's like, yee.
And there's a great line here from Anastasia as she says, "Someday those noble intentions you all have will destroy every Jedi in the galaxy." Well, she's almost right. Not every Jedi, but almost.
Yeah, right.
Good foresight. May runs in to ask Anastasia for help because of the fire, and Sol mistakes her for Osha.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of odd, right? Is that because of the whole, like, they're the same, like the symbionts are the same? He didn't recognize her as, or is it because he's literally just met them?
I think some of that, and some of it is he's so, like, the episode is what? Choice? Like, I think he's already made his choice about her, and that's the one he's worried about. So when he sees her, that's his reaction.
Yeah. Right. Yep. This causes Coral to draw her weapon, and Torben ignites his saber, and then this is when Anastasia turns into black smoke. And now, is she trying to absorb May, protect May? Like, what is she trying to do with the black smoke? Because I don't know what that move is supposed to be.
I don't know either, because when we see Coral do it, that's when we see Kelnaka go crazy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know because the thing is when she started doing it, May started falling apart genetically as well, right? Like it was like Scotty was beaming her up.
The black smoke I just thought it started encompassing her. Was her body form starting to come apart too? I didn't.
It looked like she was coming apart.
Okay. Because and for Soul, a lot of people are like, why would you just stab her? From his perspective, in his mind, he's been thinking they're going to sacrifice these children, and now they're desperate because we've got them. She's going to kill her.
And that's what it looks like. And again, we're seeing his interpretation or hers, and that's what it looks like.
Right. So he fucking stabs her, or part of her body comes back to like full form. And then that's when she says, I was going to let Osha go. She chose you. And that's when Soul's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I've seen people get stabbed by sabers and make it. So hold on. We might still have a chance here.
Yeah. Where exactly did I poke you?
Yeah. Oh, did I get any key organs? Oh, sorry.
And now, so this is the moment that really puts the whole story into play, right? Like, this is why May is after these 4 Jedi, because they were all there. This is why she hates Soul so much, because he killed Mama.
Oh, that look on her face when she looks up at him. Ooh, stone cold.
Well, and this is another thing that I had a problem with this scene was Coral is ready to go to battle with Torben, and the second Mama's stabbed, she just like stands there and watches, and then May runs over, Mom yells, and everyone's just kind of like watching.
I know.
Like, why isn't it? Was kind of like I don't know.
When I watched it on the replay, I was thinking the same thing. I think I even like played it back again to watch Coral's reaction. Mm-hmm. I think she was just so stunned. I don't think she thought this was going to happen. So because she looks over like, uh-oh, I think there's a delay where she's in shock for a second.
Okay.
So then Coral tells May to run, and she attacks Soul, who's just dodging and taking shots. And she's like, fight back, and he's like, nah, not gonna fight back. I've already killed your wife.
And then all the fights since this, like, he doesn't use his lightsaber.
You're right.
Like,
yeah.
after killing her, this is how he fights now. He fights Kelnaka like that until he has to pull his lightsaber out. But even when he takes the lightsaber from him, he uses his lightsaber and hits his hand and knocks it out. He doesn't.
The only thing he does with his saber after he stabs on Asaya is he slices off the end of her staff, Coral. That's all he does.
Yeah.
Then he puts it away. But by the way, while this is going on, Torben is doing quite some fucking sweet moves here, deflecting all these arrow shots from all the other witches. Yeah. He was showing off his skills. It's impressive. Then we get this explosion. Is this supposed to be the fire, like, igniting shit, or is something else happening here? Why does all of a sudden that thing explode? Because that fire, I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems dodgy.
I don't know. Mm-hmm.
So I mentioned Soul cuts Coral's weapon. She goes to black smoke mode, and all the other witches disappear. And that's when her disembodied voice tells them, you shouldn't have brought him here. And I love it. Torben's like, my mind's fortified. She's like, not you, idiot.
Yeah. And then you hear Soul almost go, shit.
I know, he does. He goes, shh. And it's like he stopped himself.
Yeah.
We do get a shot of the witches, all with their blacked out eyes, like swaying, like they're, to the rhythm, like they're controlling Kelnaka. And then the Wookiee attacks Torben and Soul. They're kind of trying to fend him off, not kill him, obviously. And I thought it was a pretty cool fight sequence. I saw some people writing about the episode going like, I thought they just cut that scene out. It was good that they ended up leaving that in. It's like, did you not pick up on the fact that all that stuff happened and he's fighting Torben like it would have been later? Did you not? Okay. Anyway. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's very odd to me. We're just so goddamn smart and perceptive,
Exactly.
The move Torben does is a pretty sweat move. His life-saving move. Like, Kelnaka's going to stab him or like swipe across his midsection. He does this reverse, deflection thing with his lightsaber. I thought that was pretty cool.
As he's being held by his bloody face against the wall.
Right. Which we saw a little snippet of that in the preview as well. So we knew that this was all coming. Soul manages to disarm him. But then Kelnaka grabs him by the throat and he's going to choke him out before Indara goes full Trinity Matrix mode.
Right.
Does the jump, wrap my legs around your head, fucking takedown.
Uh-huh.
That was pretty impressive. She can do that to me anytime she wants.
Uh-huh.
But she manages to kind of, I guess, push the possession out of his head somehow.
Yeah.
Which, okay, then it looks like it just knocks the witches out, but are we to assume that actually killed them? Or are we thinking they die later?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I feel like there's just something else happening we don't know yet.
Okay.
Because for all of them to take, are they all, does it take all of them to control Kalnaka? Is he that, like, powerful?
Perhaps, because that's what I was thinking too. Like, why do all of them have to do it? Or are they not as powerful as Coral and Anastasia? So it takes all of them to bind together because they're just not as strong with the thread. I don't know. I mean, the only other thing you thought about too is like, okay, well, like when Luke was doing his force projection, that killed him in the end. So perhaps they were just putting everything of their being into controlling Kalnaka, and when it got blown away, they all actually died. I don't know, because the way they go out at first looks like they're knocked out, but then the shot you see later, they look like they're dead.
Yeah, they're dead. Yeah, and they're not all piled on top of each other. They are, but they're also strewn out all across the place.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel like something else has happened.
Clearly. So then Soul goes after the twins, and we see the same scene as before, only this time we see that he was holding up those platforms, and he couldn't hold both, and all of a sudden he's just like, I choose Osha. Oh, boy.
I've seen a lot of people this is one of the things I saw on Twitter where people making a big deal about, like, why is he holding the scaffolding instead of just the kids? Which, I guess. But there's a million Star Wars movies and TV you can look at and you can say, why didn't they use the Force like this or whatever? You know, like, to me, it was like, I'm not going to fight about that.
You could do that all fucking day. There are so many scenes where you could say, why, if they could do this with the Force, why wouldn't they just do this? Why wouldn't they just do that? You know, it's... You can make that argument over and over and over again and spin yourself in circles. I think he's in the moment. He's just trying to do what he can to hold them up. He doesn't know, but then yes, he ends up choosing Osha, letting May fall.
And this is still 16 years ago, so that, like, Soul is nowhere near like in touch and as powerful with the Force as he would be when we see him older.
Exactly. Yep, I agree with that. Back on the ship, Torben is looking worse for wear. By the way, I read something about how Kalnaka likely exiled himself after this mission because he used his claws on Torben, because apparently that's a big no-no in the Wookiee culture, and you get labeled a mad claw.
Isn't that what's his name in Book of Boba Fett was labeled?
Oh, Chrysanthemum or whatever?
Chrysanthemum. Yeah.
Chrysanthemum. Is that what happened?
I think he was labeled something as well.
He had mad claw disease?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he just became a bounty hunter instead of going out into the woods to for the rest of his life.
Handled it a different way. Indara scolds Torben and Soul about intervening with the Coven and fucking things up. And she says, okay, well, because he's like, okay, I'm just going to come clean with the council. Soul's ready to just lay himself on the altar. And she's like, okay, how do you think that's going to go for Osha now? Like, she just lost everybody. You're the only thing she has now. Yeah. You're going to fuck her over in the process. So, God damn it, because you fucked up and did all this stuff, we're just going to say May burned down the fortress, killed all the witches.
Well, she's like, we're going to tell the truth. And he's like, yes. And she turns around, and the truth is...
subjective.
Yes. From a certain point of skew,
absolutely.
Here's the truth.
So Osha wakes up. Soul tells her the lie. And I'm not sure what was going on with that song in the end credits, but that's okay. What was that?
Oh, I know. Yeah, let's look at some pop in here.
I know, it was kind of funny.
Did you notice the Kylo Ren music a couple times throughout the fight?
They keep mixing that in there. And I mean, we'll find out eventually. A lot of people are like, okay, is this a Ren thing? Is it a more like his story arc thing? Is it everybody's trying to kind of make sense of exactly why you keep using that theme song. I don't know. All right, so a few questions up front. Where did Coral go? Will we see her again? Did she save May?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does May know Coral saved her? Because May's on her own there at the end of episode 3 looking for her sister.
Right. I think that we probably would have seen something, right? Like she hasn't. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't know that Coral is alive.
Maybe she just did a force or a thread thing and sweeped her to the side and then fucked off. I don't know, but we got to see Coral again, right? She's around somewhere. Was that mind possession of Kelnaka, almost like a long COVID thing. Why was he so like, it's like it left something behind in his brain because he's still so
Right.
infatuated with their culture and all their symbolism and all that kind of stuff. Like it's all over his apartment or whatever you want to call that.
I wonder his apartment. I wonder if Indara didn't push all of it out of her. And with them dying, like it was sort of like they're stuck inside of him in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's haunted by all of these souls or something.
Right. It was like she cut the tumor out, but they didn't get all of it. So there's still something left.
So he's just got like some residual schizophrenia going on.
Exactly.
He can hear the voices, but he's not sure where they're coming from.
Headland mentioned something about how like, hey, we're not going to leave you hanging. You're going to find out how the twins were created in the finale. She said that. So it sure seems to be a setup for, like you said, how Plagueis discovers how to manipulate midichlorians and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I mean, at least they're going to give us that because a lot of people are real hung up on that. How were these kids created? It doesn't make any sense.
I wonder if Coral's involved in something and she goes to, what's mother's name? Anna. It's not Anastasia. It's
Anastasia.
Anastasia. Goes to Mother Anastasia and like between the two of them, it's sort of their idea about this, but really there's someone else pulling the strings. I don't know. I get an evil vibe from her. Like she's got a little bit more going on than she's letting anyone else see.
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
Even like all the coven dying, I think she knows, well, you're all going to die. I'm not.
Right. I think you're right there. I don't think she cares about the coven as much as she does herself and the kids.
Yes. The children. Yeah.
Yeah. So how are they going to wrap this up? I mean, I would assume Sol and May, when they fucked off in the last episode, I'm assuming they're going to somehow find Osha.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're going to see Chimere tell Osha his version of the story, which is going to be, again, a little bit different.
Do you think there's going to be more flashback, or do you think he's just going to verbalize it? We're just going to get that.
Or maybe a little bit of flashback, and then it's like, okay, the tide's back. We can go to our ship and let's go off somewhere. But I feel like he's going to tell some version of his story as well. And then it's going to lead to who is really like pulling the strings behind this whole thing. And that's for season 2.
But you don't think there's going to be an encounter with the 4 of them before the season's over? I think it has to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Sol has to die in order for it not to get back to... But why is Venestra? Because we've seen that image of her like in her Senate garb, right? She's going... She got to put on the robe when you go above the 5th floor. So she's...
Right. Yeah, that's what I was reading it as. Is she going to like the big chamber? Or is she going to like some sort of committee meeting or whatever to explain what happened? I think that's going to be like the last scene of the show, of the season, is her covering everything up.
Or at least with the Senate, because I don't think we're going to see the High Council. I don't think they're going to put that in there. I think because didn't Headland say, I think there was an interview where like you won't see, because if they show that, they have to show Yoda, and she's already said you're not going to see Yoda in this season.
Right.
So there's probably going to be an allusion to that, but I think whatever this meeting is sort of like the middle ground between the High Council and the Senate. Like this is what we're going to see, and her. I think she's going to probably blame it on Sol because he's not going to be alive to fucking do anything about it. And then she's the only one that knows. And I think there's something I came across something the other day. Someone was on Twitter, was it a small video, or I was reading something that was trying to connect dots between what they knew about Venestra and what the future would hold. And they were doing it in a way that made it sound like maybe she got a little dark for a while and then came back.
Oh.
So she's got like her own
skeletons in the closet.
Yeah. Where the Jedi aren't really quite aware of some of the things she's done before she came back around.
That makes a lot of sense.
Which would make sense if she was with Chimere at one point.
Exactly. Where did Chimere get that attitude from?
Mm-hmm.
Probably from her, and then she kind of like got her wits about her or whatever, if you want to call it that, and was like, "Oh no, we can't do this." and then he suffered the consequences. I'm willing to go on a limb that she might be more tied to whoever the big bad's going to be, and Chimere's not. Like I think we're led to believe that Chimere's the big villain, where he's more of like the anti-hero. That could be. I have thought about Vernestra being tied to the Sith in some fashion. I just couldn't quite get there. I just don't know that they'll do that. It would be a fun twist.
Oh boy, and it would break everyone's fucking head. This is not George Lucas. They would know. Come on.
It would. They would know a thing is horse shit because we've seen that happen before. It would probably ruin for most people just the High Republic fans. They'd be like, God damn it, Vernestra was this, and this. She wouldn't be like that. I think your thought about maybe she did something naughty in the past and is like trying to keep that. That's why she looks so fucking concerned all the time. It's because she's had experience with this kind of stuff. Makes a lot more sense than her actually being Sith related in some fashion. You know, that was kind of it. I guess, we talked about Osha probably is going to kill Sol. I just feel like that's going to happen. I mean, because May certainly has a good case to murder him if she would like to.
Yeah.
He didn't save her and killed her mother. So I don't know.
Right.
And I think, that was kind of it. I didn't have any other. Did you have any other speculation on what's coming next? I mean, I'm excited to see them wrap this up because then it's gonna be cool to go back and think about all the different things that happened to get us to that point.
Right.
That
I
hopefully
think
it
better end pretty damn strong. I mean, I think a second season is almost given, right? But it needs to end strong for all of this to go back as a second, third viewing, but to do all of it in one swoop, stream the whole binge it, to get the story. Then you're seeing all this is where this makes sense. This is, and maybe, but it's got to end strong. It's got to give us some answers, and there needs to be one hell of a cliffhanger.
And if not, we're going to unsubscribe from Disney Plus. We're out of here.
That's right. Yep.
Shutting the whole show down. No.
We'll be back when Mandalorian's back.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she talked about it, Headland, and said there have been discussions about a second season, but they have not, definitively said yes or no yet. I'm interested to see how they handle that because of all this stupid, weird backlash and all that. Maybe it all comes down to how the finale is received. Maybe they're like, let's just see how the whole season plays out. And if everybody's like, oh, okay, I get it. That was cool the way you did that and tied it all together at the end. They're going to be like, okay, go ahead and do season 2. It's like Kathleen Kennedy's just sitting there going like, tapping her feet like, we'll see. They have a meeting scheduled for like next Friday, when they get the audience response to the finale. Like, we have a meeting at 9 a.m. on Friday. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's an answer she's not going to give while the first season is still going on, right? Like, there's more to talk about than, the second season is coming. And I think it's something that they'll announce at either San Diego Comic-Con or D23 or,
D23 would make
big
sense.
Events to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was it for Choice. Maul Bag, 3 entries. Email number 1, Brian Hour. Noble Jedi. Ha! Just another greedy government institution. Better to find riches in the fringe with Han Solo, Mara Jade, and Kay Vess.
Wow.
That game can't come out soon enough, dude. I think it's August 30th is the date when it's supposed to come out. And I've also got NCAA football is coming out next Friday. I'm going to be totally worthless and not get anything done this summer.
You're going to be stuck in that video game system for a while.
Kids are going to be like, can I get on the PlayStation, Dad? No!
You mean my PlayStation?
In a minute. I paid for this shit. Yeah. Email number 2 from Chew Bubba. You forwarded me this. Greetings from the Outer Rim. It is I, Chew Bubba, Chewbacca's backwoods uncle cousin. What's an uncle cousin?
Yes. That's what you think.
I was going to say, that's when you don't know if it's your uncle or your cousin. So you call them both?
It's part of the grandfather paradox. So I'm just going to say, leave it there.
Does this mean Chewbubba is related to Itchy or whatever Chewbacca's dad's name was? It must be. It's his brother. Like doesn't agree with his porn addiction.
It's
so
Chewbubba is it's his brother's sister.
There you go. So anyway, Chewbubba is sending along this article and a question. Would you rather see a new animated series continuing Omega's adventure or a series dealing with the High Republic era? React.
I would be happy if they announced either of them. I am interested in some of the High Republic stuff. I'm looking forward to actually going through the books and reading them. I think an animated series would probably help, especially with this stuff if they're going to keep doing 100 years before, whatever. There's But then we've also seen there's people that have watched the Bad Batch or haven't watched the Bad Batch or the Rebel stuff and know nothing about what's going on in Ahsoka. So I don't know if the animation is necessarily going to help, other than the fact it probably will help like the next generation know things.
The fact that you have so many of these High Republic books that we have not read, but I do have on my list, don't worry. Doing an animated series that's actually during that specific time might help bridge that gap for those fans so that they can actually come in and enjoy it or at least understand it better. It might tie some things together as far as what they just watched with the Acolyte. So I get that. I don't know. I mean, the article he shared was the one that said that they were looking to hire a production coordinator of some sort for an animated series. So that something is imminent. Although I was thinking, well, something has to have been being worked on now, so they have something for next year. Wouldn't you think there's an animated series that's released in 25? Those things take a long time to make. So if they're just looking for a production coordinator now, that series we're not going to see for 2 years at least.
I don't know how that works in animation and when they would need that job.
It takes a long time.
I personally, I'd say I'm happy with either of them, but I think like if I got to pick, I want the Omega Adventures. Like I want older Omega. I want more answers. I want, I think there's a lot of story to be told there yet.
I was just trying to figure out, would they go straight to that next, or would it be down the line? And if this is something that they're hiring that's going to not come out for 2 years, then that makes sense. We left off here with the Bad Batch and Omega, so now we'll pick up that story again. I could see that. Email number, thank you, Chububba. Email number 3 from Max Rebo. I hope you had a satisfactory 2 flashbacks are better than 1 day. Episode 7 gave us a slightly different view of the event 16 years ago, but it didn't really clear anything up. I still think the show is entertaining, but it's a bit of a hodgepodge of nothingness. It seems like Headland has been doing weekly interviews after the episode drops. She has with Collider.
Yeah.
They've been pretty good to read. I hope someone asks her why the story was as advertised as a Sith-centric, but it isn't. Well, maybe it's going to be by the time we get to the finale.
Yeah, I think this is the story before the story.
Right. And I have to add, I think the story is pretty good for what it is. It just doesn't seem to be what we were told. Here's my prediction. We will get the truth in the finale. It will simply be a flashback of Chimere and Mother Anastasia in the lab trying to use the dark side and force magic to make force-sensitive babies. Then when Anastasia has her back turned, Chimere and Coral do it the old-fashioned way.
He's like sticking it through a glory hole.
Shh, just be quiet, be quiet. And he says, cue Al Green ending credit music. Not Marvin Gaye?
Let's get it on.
Yeah, that's Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Like all along, Anastasia thought this is what we created, and Coral's like, no, we made it. We did it the old-fashioned way. We sprinkled some of your shit in there. We put some stuff on Chimere's dick, and then this one did.
I do want to say, if anyone is bitching about the writing, while there is some spottiness, and it's still hard to put like words into what exactly isn't working for this show. Yeah. But go back and watch Russian Doll on Netflix. That show
I have not seen
is so well written and so like, it's like this in the sense that like it keeps repeating itself. It's like Groundhog's Day, but then something new happens, and then that comes into the mystery, and it's another story for her. Well, I got to solve it because of this, and it just keeps looping and looping, and it gets bigger and bigger, and it's really well done in how the story is told, and it doesn't lose itself in there's like the plot holes aren't there. So
is this the one where the main character like keeps dying or something?
Yes,
and tries to kind of tries to figure out.
It ends up being two characters. It's what's her face
from American Pie.
Yes, yeah, with the curly hair. She's and she's now in Poker Face.
Yeah, right.
Which is pretty good itself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Max, for that visual. That's it.
Yeah, thanks, Max. And for everyone else, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week when we wrap up this bad boy. So until next time.
Fuck yeah. Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
Spoken we have.